Good evening and welcome to the news. I'm Saniboi Ngwana. I'm with Zamanzi Manzi. We're coming to you live from the Hospital Hill Studios in Babane. Your headlines tonight. His Majesty the King and Ngwenyama is expected to deliver the speech from the throne this coming Friday in Parliament. The Prime Minister has encouraged all stakeholders who are involved in the preparations of the first session of the 12th Parliament to ensure all goes according to plan on Friday during the state opening of Parliament. To further address the issue of shortage of teachers, the Minister of Education will redeploy teachers from overstaffed schools. Good evening, and these are the news in detail. His Majesty King Mswati, His Majesty the King and Ngwenyama is expected to deliver the speech from the throne this coming Friday in Parliament. Preparations for this important day are at an advanced stage.
His Majesty King Mswati III is expected to address the nation during the official opening of the first session of the 12th Parliament this coming Friday. Her Majesty the Queen Mother is also expected to grace this auspicious event. Preparations for this important occasion are at a very high note, as on this day, the King and Ngwenyama will give parliamentarians a mandate and guidance on what is expected from the legislators as they will soon begin on their duty. Preparations towards this year's official opening of Parliament are at an advanced stage, as there have been several rehearsals followed by meetings with all stakeholders involved in preparation for this event. Today was the last day for the rehearsals. The state opening marks the start of a parliamentary year, which is usually referred to as a session. Swatini TV will broadcast the speech from the throne live this coming Friday. On the news, I am Polile Mazia Lobamba.
The Prime Minister, His Excellency Russell Dlamini, has encouraged all stakeholders who are involved in the preparation of the first session of the 12th Parliament to ensure that all goes according to plan on Friday during the state opening of Parliament. The Prime Minister was speaking shortly after inspecting the final rehearsals in Parliament.
Preparations for the joint sitting on Friday are at 95% according to Clerk to Parliament Benedict Kaba. A joint sitting is summoned by His Majesty King Mswati III for a state opening of Parliament and when both houses disagree on certain legislations. The Prime Minister, His Excellency Russell Dlamini, today visited Parliament to inspect how the preparations are going. The Prime Minister encouraged all stakeholders to play their roles to the latter to ensure a smooth Parliament opening.
Naloyo lonika umsebenzi sale yabambisisa nibakethuze ukuthi kungaphunyuki ngakuye. Siyathanza kubonga ke ukuthi laba labahola lo msebenzi sibahloniphebe kunene ukuze ukuthi umsebenzi uhambe kahle. Ngoba na unikwe ukuthi uhole lo msebenzi wena ubuka ukuthi ngonletinyenti lockdown si nase basiconzisa sivele sivume nje silalele sende lokuthi njengasikwenza. So kwekugcina ke ukuthi ngiqele ukuthi silithandazele lo suku.
The Meteorology Department says there will be very high temperatures on Friday afternoon, and after lunch, heavy rains are expected. For Swatini TV News, I am Linton Gule with Smuva Shongwe in Parliament.
The Minister of Education and Training, Honorable Owen Nxumalo, says to further address the issue of shortage of teachers, the ministry will redeploy teachers from overstaffed schools. The minister also says the implementation of the performance management system will help resolve this issue.
The government has budgeted 65 million in Malangeni to hire on permanent basis 1,000 contract teachers to address the issue around shortage of teachers. The Honorable Minister of Education and Training, Owen Nxumalo, says government will also redeploy teachers from overstaffed schools to fill up vacant posts in other schools.
Baneng ba overstaffed nako lokho ufuna sikubone sibadeploy kahle labo tishela mayikhwale report vele lo ithinzako nje leyasho siletinye etikolwa and vele kuletinye etikolwa bo minister babuyile bangitshela ukuthi hey kulesikole lesi bashito kusibona babaningi and nalokucasheka kwabo labo tishela kufana kusikubuke because bukhanza ukuthi mhlambe bamexatishela kulesinye isikole lokho kukhanza sakadzingakali so lokho sekutholile ukuthi hey lapha labo thisha nje nasifika le kubo bathi hey mina ngathi ngiyakhala lapha ngathi hey njengoba liseninika thisha lengamdzingi so konke lokho kutafuna vele sikubuke sikulungiswe kube khwela abantu batawubuketa ukuthi le mali le school fees tisesekahle yini malaba yabotishela bayakhala kuse lapha le education ibulawa ngokuthi sekude le funding le proper lokuthi sithwele quality education so satoba cela ke labo lelo badla lelo lisibukele bese liletha ke ma recommendation bese ngiyamikisa ke cabinet.
The minister says the ministry will also establish councils to advise the ministry on school fees and the whole education sector. The minister also assured eMaswati that government is committed into ensuring quality education for all eMaswati. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suyokoza with Zikumbuzo Dlamini Babane.
The Minister of Tourism, Honorable Jane Simelane, says the Kingdom of Eswatini is working towards advanced weather interactive processing systems. The Minister was speaking during a tour of the Eswatini Meteorological Services offices.
The Honorable Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Jane Simelane, toured and familiarized herself with the operations of the Eswatini Meteorological Service, where she was briefed about the components of weather data collection. The minister said Eswatini, with assistance from partners, is working on having advanced weather interactive processing systems.
Silive nathi sinebudlelwane nemave langesheya Bongilandi la nabo basibambisa khona nathi ke siyakhona lokho ukuthi sithole simo sethu selitulu sakangwane ngekuhamba kwesikhathi nathi sitagcina sifikile ngoba sisho sesilungu sithi Rome was not built in a day. Nathi ke sitawushaya kahle sitawugcina sifikile la umhlaba usifuna sifike khona. Hulumende unetinini akasebenzi yedvana kuba nato tinini nathi sitawuphinze siphume siye kito tinini tite umbambisa hulumende ukuthi kungasebendeka kanjani kangcono.
The minister also says with support from development partners, the ministry has a task to upgrade the structures of the service, and the Eswatini Meteorological Service Director Duduzile Nhlengetwa said the service is yet to hold a workshop on climate change models. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suyokoza, Babane.
Government is taking the necessary measures to improve the financial performance of state-owned enterprises as recommended by the World Bank in the country's Economic Update Report of August 2023. The Minister for Finance, Noel Regenbeck, explained this when giving an update on how far government has gone in implementing the recommendations of the report.
The World Bank was in country and gave us some technical assistance in reviewing our SOEs, helped us with the report that we've come up with, the SOE reform report that we have formulated, that has been adopted by Cabinet, that we've broken down into phases. And as we speak, we've already started with phase 1 of the report, actually doing what we need to do to try and fix some of these SOEs. The World Bank has also offered assistance, financial assistance, to be able to try and turn around some of them. For instance, EPTC, at the moment, they are looking at possibly assisting us to be able to take EPTC from where they are now to an entity that is a whole lot more relevant, cleaned up. There are problems in EPTC, for instance, which we are busy trying to deal with as a country. But at the same time, I think I need to emphasize the fact that we do have some brilliant SOEs in the country. We have some that really have assisted us tremendously. One can take EEC as an example. During the whole COVID time, most countries had much higher inflation rates than Eswatini. Our inflation rates were subdued compared to other countries. One of the biggest factors was EEC. They were making very decent profits from, and not necessarily from selling electricity to eMaswati, but they're making very good profits from trading power on the Southern Africa power pool. They were just being really smart.
About 10 revenue appeal cases have been lodged through the Revenue Appeals Tribunal since it started operations last year. This has been revealed by the Minister of Finance, Honorable Neil Rickenback, when questioned on how the tribunal has worked since it started operations.
I think we do need to also understand, and that's that as we've put in the Revenue Appeals Tribunal, we also have had ERS having a lot more customer-centric, customer-focused approach to how they do business. And so the amount of appeals I think because of that approach from ERS, the amount of appeals coming to Appeals Tribunal is not, for instance, what I was expecting. I was expecting a lot more of appeals coming to them. But during the quarter, 3 appeals have been received by the entity. 7 cases were carried forward. From the second quarter of these cases, 1 judgment was issued now, but a total of 10 cases are in process at the end of December 2023, and to date, 6 judgments have already been delivered. So they're working well. As cases are coming to them, they're dealing with them, and they're handling the matters that are brought to Appeals Tribunal. So it's working very well, is the bottom line.
Piggery production has recorded a decline of 12% in the year 2022 compared with the year 2021. This is contained in a report from the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development in partnership with the Central Bank of Eswatini, which looked at economic development.
According to the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development, Macroeconomic Analysis and Research Unit with the Central Bank of Eswatini, they have released the 2023 Company Survey Report, which looks at annual performance of the economy and informs stakeholders of economic development outlook. Looking within the Ministry of Agriculture under the piggery production, domestic pork production reflected a decline of 12.0% in the year 2022 as production volumes went down from 2,225 tons in 2021 to 1,958 tons in the review period. The decline was mainly attributable to hikes in feed costs, which caused some farmers to disinvest from pork production. There were no pork imports reported in the period as the country continued to implement the import substitution program. To cover the deficit in pork production, processed pork imports increased by 79.4% from 328 tons reported in the previous year to 577 tons in the same period. Under the raw milk production, total dairy cattle population, which includes bulls and calves, it was reported that they stood at 7,294, while the milking herd stood at 5,302 in 2022, reflecting a slight decline of 7.9% and 18.3% respectively, due to a number of challenges. This includes extremely high temperatures in summer-affected grass quality and also led to tick-borne diseases, which was detrimental to the performance of dairy cattle and thus milk production. Moreover, the extended summer period was unfavorable to milk production as milk per cow was reduced to 8 liters per day in summer, below the 10 to 15 liters target, compared to winter months where production averages to 17 liters per day. Moreover, the heat in summer also made it difficult for the cows to fall pregnant as the pregnancy rate fell to 50%, which is below the expected rate of 80%. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB, Mbabane.
The Ministry of Agriculture Principal Secretary Sydney Simelane says farmers from the Hoho region were the most affected by the storm that hit the country on Monday. Simelane says as a ministry they were hoping for a better yield this year, which might not be the case due to the storm witnessed on Monday, which left most farmers jaw-dropped.
The nation witnessed a heat wave last year around February, and exactly the same time this year, the nation was hit by a terrible storm that caused a stir for local farmers, and that might have a negative impact on the number of metric tons we are supposed to yield in a year. This was said by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Sydney Simelane, in an interview with Eswatini TV reporters on Wednesday.
This was a severe storm. It really affected a number of farmers, especially in the northern part of the country, in areas like Nginamatolo, Macheni, and somewhere around Lobamba. Those people were highly affected, and we think we have to try and assist them and see how they can actually be in a position to get something to eat. So what is important for us is to gear up for action as far as climate change is concerned. The main activities to address climate change would be, first of all, adaptation, which means we decide to adapt in the current situation and see how we can survive. Or the other option is mitigation. Mitigation simply means that we try and find ways to make sure that we counter or we work with the current situation of climate change.
Simelane concluded by encouraging all local farmers to take part in the smart climate agriculture methods of farming for them to have a better chance of yielding a few crops even after such instances like a storm. Reporting for Eswatini TV, Poguhle Dlamini with Giani Msibi in Mbabane.
A survey that was conducted by the Women Unlimited shows an increase in sexual harassment cases amongst university students. The Women Unlimited gathered organizations that deal with abuse to workshop them on how to put an end to sexual harassment and violence on students.
The director of Women Unlimited, Vimbai Kapura, asked stakeholders to collaborate and protect university students from sexual violence and harassment. She says their survey has shown that university students are vulnerable to sexual abuse.
This initiative is going to focus on preventing sexual harassment. So it's going to bring a lot of education and awareness on what sexual harassment is all about. Because the reality is some people don't even know what sexual harassment is. It comes in different forms. So this is what we are coming to the university, educating our students on what it is and how they can go about reporting such cases to seek for justice. When we designed our project, we were also following some studies that were done within this tertiary institution, particularly by Dr. Shabalala, and this has actually driven us to come up with an innovative initiative to see how best we can work around reducing sexual harassment within the campus.
She says they will take this initiative to other colleges and universities as well. She asks everyone to commit into helping both male and female students and help to put an end to sexual violence and harassment. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Giani Msibi with Poguhle Dlamini, KwaLuseni.
Police are investigating the murder of a man of Katobonga area who was assaulted all over the body by unknown people. The man is said to have died whilst undergoing treatment at Mbabane Government Hospital.
According to a police report on the 4th of February 2024 at around 6:15 in the morning, a 37-year-old man of Sitvashini area Katobonga in Mbabane was assaulted with fists and further stormed, and due to the injuries suffered, he died while undergoing treatment in the Mbabane Government Hospital. An investigation is still ongoing. On another note, on the 4th of February 2024 at around 5 in the afternoon, two girls aged between 10 and 8 years old drowned while swimming at Novoye River at Pumlamkashi area in the Lubombo region. On another note, at Sipofaneni area on the 4th of February 2024, a 43-year-old man of Makakasi area at St. Philip's was arrested and charged with the murder after he assaulted a 38-year-old woman, which is said to be his wife, where he assaulted her with a hard object on the head while at Makakasi area. The woman is said to have later succumbed to the injuries. On another note, at Gege in the Shiselweni region on the 5th of February 2024 at 7 in the morning, 4 men were arrested and charged in connection with the murder of a 17-year-old boy of South Africa, Congo Tsala area, who was assaulted with sticks all over the body by a mob while at Hlalagahle area. The arrested men are a 50-year-old man of Ndiva, a 57-year-old man of Ndiva, a 55-year-old of Polodini, and a 35-year-old of Hlalagahle. This report is from the Senior Superintendent Pindila Vilagati, who is the Chief Police Information and Communications Officer.
Moving further afield in our international news, Kenyan Good News International Ministries leader Paul Mackenzie and 29 associates were yesterday charged with the murder of 191 children whose bodies were found in the Shakahola forest where his followers lived.
During the case proceedings, all defendants denied all the charges brought before a court in the coastal town of Malindi. One suspect was found mentally unfit to stand the trial. Prosecutors say Mackenzie ordered his followers to starve themselves and their children to death so that they could go to heaven before the world ends. Mackenzie was arrested last April with terrorism-related crimes, manslaughter and torture. He was also convicted in December of producing and distributing films without a license and sentenced to 12 months in jail. His followers say Mackenzie forbade them from sending their children to school and from going to hospital when they were ill, branding such institutions as satanic. Mackenzie's lawyer has said he is cooperating with the investigation into the deaths and the 30 defendants are due back in court on March 7 for bond hearing. Meanwhile, in Senegal, the West Africa's regional bloc known as ECOWAS has urged authorities in Senegal to hold the presidential elections this month as scheduled instead of delaying it by 10 months as the United Nations Human Rights Office expressed concern about the unprecedented decision in one of Africa's most stable democracies. United Nations Human Rights Office spokesperson Liz Trussell expressed concern about the situation in Senegal and said any decision to postpone elections should be based on broad-based consultations. Also, the US Senator Kevin, who chairs the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, said the postponement puts Senegal on a dangerous path towards dictatorship and must not be allowed to stand. The crisis comes at a time when the West African bloc is struggling to retain its members. On another note, United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken has arrived in Israel as he seeks to seal a truce deal to bring the war in Gaza to a halt, following meetings the previous day in Egypt and Qatar, both mediating the Hamas and Israel. Blinken landed in Jerusalem today on his 5th tour of the tense region since October last year. He will meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Isaac Herzog, among others, to discuss the Palestinian group's response to the proposed deal. Hamas has said previously that any deal must bring about a definitive end to the war. However, Israel said it will not halt the war permanently until Hamas is destroyed. The Palestinian group said in a statement yesterday that it has reviewed the comprehensive ceasefire deal with a positive spirit, including details on securing relief, shelter, reconstruction, the lifting of a 17-year-old crippling siege, and the completion of the prisoner exchange process. Today, Hamas has said it has put forward a counter-proposal. The document features a 3-stage ceasefire plan according to which the group will exchange Israeli captives it captured on October 7 for Palestinian prisoners, secure the reconstruction of Gaza, and ensure the complete withdrawal of Israel forces. Reporting for Eswatini TV, I'm Bendulo Gumbi, visual source from France 24 and DW.
Right, with that, we shift gears now into the world of business. We'll take a look at financial indicators that will give us a sense of how markets fared today in our financial report.
Standard Bank. It can be.
In our sports news, there's a confusion between the FIFA official transfer window closing dates and the Eswatini Football Association's closing dates. Now, according to FIFA, the January transfer window will close this coming Friday on the 9th of February, whilst the Football Association says the window closed last week Friday on the 2nd of February. Fabrice Msonera has more on that story.
Under normal circumstances, FIFA released dates of transfer window for each country at the beginning of the season and during the general transfer window for each country. Under January 2022 transfer window, FIFA says that for Eswatini, the opening date was on the 9th of February 2024. On the contrary, Eswatini Football Association says the general transfer window for 2024 began January up to the 2nd of February this year, which means it closed a week prior to the official date released by FIFA. Responding to the matter, Eswatini Football Association Communications Officer Muzi Khadebe says the closing date was on the 2nd of February, and the same story has been communicated to FIFA to make sure that everything is in order. The situation now raises a concern to what should be the real date of the official closing of the transfer window in the Kingdom of Eswatini. For instance, neighboring countries such as South Africa, Mozambique and Lesotho, they had their closing dates responding exactly to the official dates of FIFA. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
Ezulwini United head coach Mpumelelo Ngwenya says there's a disadvantage that comes with playing one team twice in a row, even though it might be a different competition. Ngwenya was speaking ahead of the Ingwenyama Cup quarterfinals clash with Mbabane Highlanders this coming weekend at the Mavuso Sports Center, with both teams coming from facing each other in the MTN Premier League over the weekend.
The MTN Premier League games will be giving away to the inaugural Ngwenyama Cup that is entering the quarterfinal stages in one of the games to be played this coming weekend. We see Mbabane Highlanders taking on Ezulwini United. The two Premier League sides are from meeting in the MTN League this past weekend, where Highlanders won the game by 0-0.
Yes, vele iba khona le distraction nasewati ukuthi I'm playing them again. Mhlawumbe someone is sitting on 2 yellow cards.
Ezulwini United head coach Mpumelelo Ngwenya says there is always a big challenge that comes with playing the same team twice in a row, even though it is a different competition. Ngwenya says issues of cards and suspensions are mostly the common.
The performance ibe ngcono. So we're giving 100% nangale Ngwenyama Cup because lokhu kahle ngako nasidlala yona simile ngala ngapleague. So nalama breaks akusinto lesithanza. We're going there to compete next week.
Game 2 it's next weekend. Ngicabanga ukuthi now ngabuka kathi.
For Dumsan Makanya of Mbabane Highlanders, it is a chance for them to get more ready for this fixture and fight to reach the semi-finals. The game will be played on Sunday at the Mavuso Sports Center from 4 p.m. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mans.
That's how we reach the conclusion of the news bulletin at 8 here at Eswatini TV. But before we go, a quick reminder of the news making headlines tonight. His Majesty the King and Ingwenyama is expected to deliver the speech from the throne this coming Friday in Parliament. The Prime Minister has encouraged all stakeholders who are involved in the preparations of the first session of the 12th Parliament to ensure all goes according to plan on Friday during the state opening of Parliament. To further address the issue of shortage of teachers, the Minister of Education will redeploy teachers from overstaffed schools. Beautiful Kingdom of Eswatini, that's how we hit the home stretch of the news bulletin. We shall now cross over to the Weather Center for a detailed weather report from us and the rest of the team at Eswatini TV. For now, it's good night and God bless.